like to call the May Jefferson County Board of Legislator meeting to order. If we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have a moment of reflection. Thank you. You may be seated. Before we get to the lively crowd that we have in front of us, we will start with roll call of the members, please.
Legislator Nabawanik. Here. Cantwell. Here. Fitzpatrick. Here. Reed. Here. Doldo. Here. Drake. Here. Jarrow. Here. Monticelli. Here. Johnson. Here. Maxon. Here. McBride. Here. Peck. Here. Gray.
Here.
13 present.
Okay. So before we begin privilege of the floor, we have a few recognitions that we'll do and a couple of proclamations. And as everybody sees in front of them, we have a couple of Eagle Scout recipients with us this evening, Nathaniel Alexander Madison and Aiden Race. And we are going to defer to them to give us a little bit of an explanation on their projects that they did in order to earn that Eagle Scout Award and present them with certificates of recognition. So how about we start Aiden or Nathaniel? Aiden first.
All right, so as you can see on the back side of that piece of paper you're handed out, that goes over a brief interview of the project. So I live in Adams, and on Spring Street, there off Route 11, there was an old baseball field. It had a temporary backstop that had been there for about 23 years. It had been there so long that the wheels that you would fold up and haul it away were sunken into the ground. And so I had played there for T-ball when I was younger, and I had known since I started with even Cub Scouts that I wanted to do that as my Eagle project. So in 2017, I started with tearing down the backstop, and then we took a sod cutter and cut away all the sod and made new baselines and all that for Little League standard. We then received donations for sand and everything else. We also got donated benches, the power equipment, lunch for the workday. I did get some funding through the Village of Adams for the actual backstop itself through Alpine Fence. We did do the math on it, and it was about an $18,000 project that we were able to complete for about $2,000. With that, we had over 400 hours worth of volunteer time through the scouts back there. A lot of them helped on it. And about another, obviously, like I said earlier, $15,000 worth of donations through sand and other miscellaneous objects. So now it's a lot safer. The wings on the backstop are 10 feet long where they used to be non-existent. The old benches that were there were recycled to make the new benches. Before, the benches were past the old leaf, so if a stray ball were to go towards those benches, there would be no protection. Now, however, there are 4 benches instead of 2, and they're all protected by the fence. There's room for more projects to go in there for more Eagles, whether, if they want to do more work on it. There's room for dugouts, more recreational areas, and so that's kind of what we wanted to do as well. Other than that, I really think that it makes it a lot better of a place before the Little League to play because, like I said earlier, there's more benches for them to sit on, and then it's more safe. The field is much safer itself. There isn't any holes. everything is much more flush, and again, the benches are behind the fence, which makes it much more safer. And other than that, that's pretty much it for my project.
Thank you very much, Aiden.
Thank you.
To be commended for your work that you've done for your community. You certainly have made it a better place to work and live and play for certain. So congratulations, work well done. And next we'll have Nate.
Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Madison, before you begin, we're intimately familiar with your father's work. So we just hope that after hearing from you, that he lives up to your standards.
All right, I'd just like to start off, for those of you folks who don't know me, I'm Nathaniel Madison, member of Troop 586, recently just received my Eagle Scout Award, and my project was the Brian C. Thomas Memorial Pollinator Garden. It's right at Westcott Beach State Park. Brian Thomas was a scout leader who had a lot to do with our older group, and he unfortunately passed away. So this garden was made in his honor. And to give you a little backstory on how this project came about, I was actually selling popcorn one time, and we had previously worked with the state for a Boy Scout camporee I was in charge of, and he approached me with this idea, and I was like, sure, let's make this happen. And it was overall 1,700 square foot garden with our final cost was $21,000. Now, the impact that will have is more kind of a community / the environmental impact as well. The environmental impact being that it'll provide habitat and a food source for various different species of insects. And then community, I've already had various people say that they've ridden their bike right through the garden itself and stopped to take a drink of water, because we have 2 benches there as well with some pergolas to provide a little bit of shade. And it was my overall total number of hours was 496. And as Aiden previously stated, a lot of the guys in the tan uniforms were the huge driving forces to help me get this done, along with the state providing all the funding. Yeah. 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 Thank you.
Sorry, Jay. I can't stop your remarks. So, congratulations, Nathaniel, and work well done to make your community certainly a better place. Both of these Eagle Scouts were brought to us by way of Legislator Maxon, so I will defer to Mr. Maxon for the, you can read the certificate of recognition and present them to him.
By the way, congratulations.
So this is certificate of recognition presented to both of you in recognition of your significant accomplishments in achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. This certificate is presented to you in appreciation and commendation for your participation, contribution, And Scott, if I can add, if I weren't here right now, I would be at that t-ball field with my son right now. So I appreciate the work that you did there. It's great work.
Oh, certainly. And for the rest of the Boy Scouts in the room, they have provided exemplary, well, great leadership for you. How's that sound? Easy for me to say, easier for them to do. So they're great footsteps to follow in. We hope that you all achieve something as successful in future endeavors as they have done, and you do well for your community as well. So congratulations to all of you for all that you do. So, and thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Alrighty. We have, next is the Community Action Proclamation. And we have Melinda Galt with us. Melinda, you got other people with you that you want to introduce? You can come right up to the mic. Yep, you can come right up to the mic if you want to.
Everyone hear that? You want me to repeat? Okay. This is Claudia Whitmire. She's our Deputy Director. And we have two board members with us tonight, Nancy Brown and Rick Bierman.
Great. Congratulations.
I just want to thank you all for supporting us for almost 55 years now. And not only financially, but with board members. Anthony is a board member at Community Action. And in-kind services and advice when we needed it. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Great.
Hope to be around another 55 years.
Sounds good. I'll read the proclamation, then I'll come down and present. So it is presented by the County Board of Legislators, whereas Community Action emerged from the heart of President Lyndon B. Johnson's 1964 Proclamation of America's War on Poverty, where battles must be won in the field, in every private home, and every public office from the courthouse to the White House. Whereas Community Action has put a human face on poverty for 55 years by advocating for limited income citizens without a voice so that they may enter the middle class and reach for the American dream, replacing their despair with opportunity. And whereas Community Action builds and promotes economic stability, an essential aspect of enabling and enhancing stronger communities, which in turn promotes self-sufficiency, ensuring that all Americans are able to live in dignity. Whereas Community Action has enhanced the lives of millions of people across America by providing essential life-changing services and opportunities such as affordable housing, economic development, health care, energy assistance, natural disaster relief, and recovery. Whereas Community Action serves 99% of America's counties and rural, suburban, and urban communities, and because it is the right and in our hearts and minds, we believe it is possible that we will conquer poverty in our lifetime. Whereas Community Action will continue to implement innovative and cost-effective programs, improve the lives and conditions of the impoverished, continue to provide support and opportunities for all citizens in need of assistance, and continue to be a major voice of reason in establishing welfare system reforms. Now, therefore, I, Scott A. Gray, Chairman of the Board of Legislators of the County of Jefferson, State of New York, do hereby proclaim May 2019 as Community Action Month, and in recognition of the work and dedication of the Community Action Planning Council, the Community Action Agency serving Jefferson County, I, witness whereof, have hereunto set my hand, caused to be affixed the seal of the County of Jefferson, the 7th day of May 2019. you. Okay. Okay, let me start over. Whereas emergency medical services is vital public service, and whereas the members of the emergency medical services team are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who have experienced sudden illness or injury, whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, and others. The members of the emergency medical services team, whether career or voluntary, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of these emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, I, Scott A. Gray, Chairman of the Jefferson County Board of Legislators, Jefferson County, New York, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week, with the theme EMS Strong is Stronger Together. I encourage the community to observe this week with the appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause to be affixed the seal of Jefferson County the 7th day of May 2019. Paul? We're going to get this right. If I don't screw up this agenda tonight, I'll never screw one up. So, okay, that concludes our presentations, recognitions, and proclamations. So we will open privilege of the floor. You can step forward and state your name and address if you have something that you'd like to bring in front of the board. And if you can keep it to 5 minutes, that would be greatly appreciated. Mr. Shalmadine.
Yes, good evening. I'm Doug Shalmadine. I farm in southern Jefferson County with my brother and 2 sons. We milk about 1,000 cows and farm about 1,800 acres. A year ago, we created a new enterprise on our operation where we use equipment we have to pump and use a drag hose system to apply manure to other farmers' fields. Now, this is manure we're dealing with. And there's only one reason we did this, and that's to create cash flow to help to pay the expenses on our farm. I'm here tonight to ask you to support a resolution opposing the state's proposed legislation on agricultural labor that would require us to pay overtime, allow for unionization, and other benefits or other restrictions. It's important that we understand the bigger picture. Just like I just mentioned about the manure, by the way, I'm a pinch hitter here. My son, who is president of the County Farm Bureau, is supposed to be here tonight to do this, but at 4 o'clock it was more important that he stay with that system and keep it operating, and I would fill in for him, so forgive me. Agriculture supports the local economy in a big way. Farms and workers spend money at other businesses and support the tax base and provide goods and services that other employers, processors, and suppliers depend on, whether it be milk for Great Lakes or Kraft, or buy or repair equipment or automobiles at local dealerships, or pay local property taxes. We want a viable farm economy that includes the ability of farms to be in business and be prosperous. When farms do well, their employees and the community do well too. It is important to keep in mind that the state of the farm economy, what the state of the farm economy is, and the competitive issue farms are facing. The marketplace issues are very important. Dairy farmers don't set their own milk price. Fruit and vegetable and nursery growers also compete in the marketplace against farms and from other states and countries with cheaper labor rates. For example, Pennsylvania's minimum wage is $7.25. It is $8.35 in Ohio. Ours is $11.10. New York is already way beyond that, and most farms pay well above the minimum wage. Farms can't just raise prices to recoup higher labor costs. Farm Credit East, a lending institution in the Northeast, states that according to the proposed, estimates this will cost New York agriculture about $3 million, this legislation will. On our farm last year, if we were to pay according to the proposed legislation, it would have raised our labor costs by more than 20%, or over $110,000. This would have added losses to a year where we barely broke even. I am sure you can relate to what another costly state mandate can mean to a budget. This isn't about not wanting to provide overtime. It's how we pay overtime for most farms is in this depressed economy and competitive marketplace. Our employees work hard to make a better life for themselves and their families, and we support them in that. Many ask for more hours, and we are concerned that if hours must be cut to try to reduce costs because of the overtime rates, employees will seek work elsewhere. Employees are valuable and essential to our businesses. We should treat them well, and they are treated well. Farms must treat employees, well, see, I told you I'm pitch hitting here. Farms do treat their employees well and provide competitive wages and benefits and good working conditions in order to keep and recruit new employees. Once again, I would encourage you to support the resolution that will be offered later in opposition to the state legislation, and thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Anybody else privilege of the floor? Hearing none? Yep, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me some time to speak tonight. I probably will need more than 5 minutes, but I'll try to keep it as short as I can. Therefore, I'm going to just read from my notes because I have a few issues I'd like to bring up to the Board of Legislators tonight regarding my office and the DMV. First, I would like to thank the board for allowing me to speak tonight on behalf of my constituents of Jefferson County, as well as on behalf of my staff. Although I wish it were under different circumstances, the issues that I have been faced with over the past few years are both unethical and unprofessional behavior. That being said, I would also like to thank the supporters who came tonight to support me. Tonight affords me the opportunity to demonstrate my dedication to the county clerk's office. I work for you, and over the past 6 years, I have been loyal, honest, and dedicated to doing the right thing. Therefore, I am asking the Board of Legislators to do what is right tonight on behalf of their county clerk and the constituents of Jefferson County. Firstly, my budget. In preparation of my 2017 budget, I was asked by Mr. Hageman, County Administrator, on behalf of the Board of Legislators to see if I could gather any possible potential revenue for the county within elements of my office. I did so. The first one was mortgage tax expense retention revenue. Because this revenue line had not been increased since the 80s, I felt it was time to apply, and I did so. This brought in just over $188,000 to Jefferson County without going to the taxpayer. The second item was a local mortgage tax. Additionally, I have concerns with budget process for Jefferson County. 2 years in a row, a revenue stream has been added into my budget without my approval after my submission to the board. This unapproved addition to my budget makes it appear as though my office is more than $400,000 short of the projected revenues over a 2-year period of time. This is in fact not the case, as the revenue source was never approved. I can't be lacking something that did not exist. This process makes me look bad to my constituents in that I am not doing everything that I set out to do. Please be assured that I shared my strong opposition to this matter with the county administrator and the Board of Legislators. Another budget issue that concerns me is regarding the health benefit lines for my budget. For budget year 2017, I expressed concerns regarding these amounts for each of my sub-departments. If any of you are not aware, these amounts are not controlled or entered by me in any way, and in fact are entered by our budget officer. I expressed my concerns that the amounts entered for my department were inadequate and that I felt they should be increased. These changes were not approved or increased, and I was left short at the end of last year and also the year prior. I would rather be in control of entering these amounts myself, as I have been correct each time that I have questioned them. Having negative balances at the end of the year, again, makes me appear as though I am negligent and ignorant of my own expenses. The next issue that I would like to address today is regarding 2 requests that I have made over the past 2 years regarding structure of my office. I have requested 2 additional electronic badge entry locations, one for the front door of my DMV office and the second for my administrative office. I have also requested that a doorway be made between my administrative office and my personnel office. I originally included funds in my 2018 budget to cover these requests, but these were removed, as I was told they should be covered by Buildings and Ground Department. Isn't the purpose of submitting my budget request to the Board of Legislators so they can determine whether or not a request that I have made is fiscally irresponsible? I feel as though that responsibility should lay, if not with me, then with all of you, not to the county administrator or superintendent of building and grounds. I have worked tirelessly since I was originally elected in 2014 to decrease expenses and increase revenue and make the Jefferson County Clerk's Office the best it has ever been. I do not make any request that is frivolous or would not in some way benefit my staff or my constituents, and I think all of you agree with that. I am frustrated with the roadblocks that are constantly being put up over a few simple requests that I have made. There are many things that I have dreamt about changing in my office. How am I supposed to move forward when even the simplest request cannot be fulfilled? Lastly, I am asking all of you to support me with all of my endeavors in the future. You can all be confident that I have the best interests of Jefferson County and my constituents in mind with every decision that I make. And it's time. It's been many years. I have demonstrated in my budget reviews. I have demonstrated to Mr. Hageman. I have demonstrated many times that this cannot be done. $200,000 the first time, I opposed to it. It was then added the next year. Now I'm not going to have it in there this year, and what's it going to look like? My budget lines are going to look terrible. My revenue line, at the most, is going to be down. I brought that revenue source as a possibility, not as a definite. You have to apply for it, you have to get approved for it, but I brought it to the board as it could be a possibility. I did not put it in my budget. It was added after I submitted my budget. My health benefits are changed and done against what I project. And it's not right, and I've specified the same. In reference to the badge entries to the 2 doors and the doorway between my office and my secretary's office, that probably totals about $3,500. That's pennies. I caught $7,700 off 2 lines this year. I saved $12,000 on my personnel change request. That some of it's going to be approved tonight, I hope. And then I asked for $3,500. And it's the first time I've requested really anything except for a MAP scanner in probably the 6 years I've been county clerk. And whenever I do ask for something, I find the money, or I give up something else for it, because that's what I do. And you should all trust that that's what I do. So I'm asking you tonight to support the 2 badge entries and do the right thing tonight for me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks, Giselle. Okay. Anybody else privilege of the floor? Step forward, state your name and address. There's, well, a question, or you get a comment, or? There's no questions, it's comments, it's comments. No, it's privilege of the floor, you're addressing the body, and it's comments, and it's typically regarding the agenda items. You can step forward. If you have a comment, step forward. It's not a question and answer for the audience. Nor is it a question and answer on the board. So, but we're more than happy to receive any comments. Anybody else privilege of the floor? Okay, hearing none, we'll close it. Okay, reading minutes of last session. Anybody requesting them? None. Then, is there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, then they'll stand as presented. Presentation of petitions, notices, and communications.
This evening, there are none. We have a good deal of activity already, so that's good.
Okay. Reports of standing committees.
We have a report of the Finance and Rules Committee reporting favorably on resolutions number 91, 92, 94, 95, 96, 97, 99, 101, and 102. We also have a report of the Finance and Rules Committee recommending approval of legislator expenses.
Reports of county officers and others.
We have a report from the county treasurer on investments in cash in hand for the prior month, and we have a report of the county administrator on budget transfers, again, from the prior month.
Okay. Local laws, resolutions, and motions. Resolution number 82.
Payments of legislator expenses.
Discussion. None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 83.
Authorizing the county of Jefferson to accept maintenance jurisdiction rights from the state of New York for the portion of state highway number 1962 in the town of Orleans, Jefferson County, as shown on the attached map.
Discussion. None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 84.
Authorizing the acceptance of an offer to sell unused highway property in the town of Orleans, the United States General Services Administration, for use in the expansion project of the Alexander Bay Land Port of Entry.
Discussion. None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 85.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Environmental Protection and Spill Conservation Fund regarding tax map parcel number 7.09-1-60 in the town of Alexandria.
Discussion. None? All, yes, Mr. Maxson.
I just would like to go on record as abstaining from this vote.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? One. Just before we go any further, for the Boy Scouts that are in the room, for your benefit, most of these resolutions have gone through oversight committees. We have various oversight committees that everything is reported to. So while it looks like we're going through these fairly fast, they have been discussed at previous meetings, and at that point they're vetted, and then the balance of the board that's not on that committee has every opportunity to speak and object or concur with whatever motions and resolutions we're doing here. So just let you folks know that. A little bit about our workings. So, 86, please.
Adjusting positions in the county clerk's office and amending the 2019 county budget.
This, Mr. Maxson. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, which committee did this come through? This came through Finance and Rules? Is this,
yes.
Okay. And this came through at the request of our county clerk. but we are not doing everything that she is asking us to do. Is that also correct? She's also requested that one of these positions be upgraded to a deputy clerk.
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
But further clarification, that is a position that's undergoing further review with the assistance of HR, so it'll come back at budget time potentially for some kind of adjustment. Whether it's that or whether it's some other type of position remains to be seen.
Okay.
It is correct that initially that after the budget was approved, she did make that request. In subsequent conversations, we've moved in the direction of doing an assessment of the position.
Okay. I've spoken to our clerk about this, and I've let her know that as a countywide elected official, I think that she has broad latitude, or we ought to give her broad latitude with the way that she runs her operations. I understand that the legislature has a fiduciary responsibility. We have the power of the purse. But she is a countywide elected official, and when she makes a reasonable request of me, I am going to support what she's asking, by and large. So I'm not thrilled to see this sort of thing. I get that we have reviews and processes in place, but I like to see our county clerk get the things that she asks for, by and large. So I'm not thrilled to see that it's not everything she's asked for. I don't know how I'm going to vote.
Further discussion? None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? No. 1. 2. Okay. 87.
Authorizing state environmental quality review act determination in relation to Jefferson Community College Green Campus entry rate.
Discussion? None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 88.
Memorial for Ralph A. Green, Sr.
Discussion? None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 89.
Authorizing the recovery of workers' compensation law lien by participating in the settlement of a medical malpractice action.
Discussion? None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 90.
Authorizing implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of federal aid and state Marcellus program aid eligible costs and transportation federal aid projects and appropriating funds granted.
Discussion? None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? No, it's not. It's one of my tripwires tonight. I passed. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 91.
Authorize the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the state's Bridge New York program for aid eligible costs and transportation projects, appropriating funds therefore, and amending the 2019 county budget and capital plan.
Discussion? This one's a roll call. It's amending the budget. Roll call.
Legislator Drake? Monticelli? Nabawanek? Maxon? Darrow? Johnson? Goldo? Cantwell? Peck? Reed? Fitzpatrick? McBride? Gray?
Yes.
Motion carried.
92.
Authorize the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the state Bridge New York eligible costs of transportation, appropriating funds therefore, and amending the 2019 county budget and capital plan.
Discussion? Roll call.
Legislator Maxon. Fitzpatrick. McBride. Jarrow. Nabawanek. Johnson. Peck. Monticelli. Drake. Reed. Goldo. Cantwell. Gray.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 93.
Authorizing the agreement in relation to juvenile secure detention and supervision and treatment services for juvenile program.
Discussion? None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 94.
Recognizing New York State Division of Criminal Justice Service Program grant and amending the 2019 county budget in relation thereto.
Discussion? None? Roll call.
Legislator Reed. Fitzpatrick? Drake? Maxon? Cantwell? Johnson? Peck? McBride? Monticelli? Jerem? Doldo? Nabalwanick? Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
95.
Amending the 2019 county budget to recognize insurance recovery and allocating same in the sheriff's department budget.
Discussion. None? Roll call?
Legislator McBride? Cantwell? Monticelli? Maxon? Nabalwanick? Doldo? Fitzpatrick? Drake? Peck? Reed? Johnson? Jerem? Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 96. Before, go ahead and read 96. If you-
Amending the 2019 county budget in relation to law enforcement.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to change the resolution, and we're going to adjust automotive equipment. Do they have the copies of these? They do. Okay, so you've seen it. Adjusting automotive equipment to $70,000 and departmental equipment to $55,000. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Monticelli, second, Mr. Maxon. Discussion on the amendment? None. All in favor on the amendment? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, now we will have discussion on the resolution as amended. None? Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Drake? Cantwell? Maxon? Reed? Peck? Fitzpatrick? Jerem? McBride? Johnson? Doldo? Monticelli? Nabalwanick? Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
97.
Accepting donation to the Sheriff's Department and amending the 2019 county budget in relation thereto.
Discussion? None? Roll call?
Legislator McBride? Fitzpatrick? Maxon? Monticelli? Johnson? Reed? Doldo? Jerem? Drake? Peck? Nabalwanick? Cantwell? Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
98.
Authorizing extension of agreement with the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets for the provision of petroleum product quality program services.
Discussion? None? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Carried. 99.
Amending the 2019 county budget relative to Weights and Measures Department.
Discussion? None? Roll call?
Legislator Peck? Maxon? Fitzpatrick? McBride? Nabalwanick? Cantwell? Johnson? Reed? Doldo? Jerem? Monticelli? Drake? Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 100.
Authorizing agreement for the provision of services to elderly of Jefferson County.
Discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Carried. 101.
Amending the 2019 county budget relative to the Delivery System Reform Incentive Payment Program funding for Community Services Department.
Discussion? None? Roll call?
Legislator Fitzpatrick? Peck? Monticelli? Maxon? Drake? Doldo? Reed? McBride? Johnson? Nabalwanick? Cantwell? Jerem? Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries. Which one was that? That was 101.
102.
Amending the 2019 county budget to allocate additional state aid for community services and mental health programs and authorizing amended agreements in relation thereto.
Discussion? None? Roll call?
Legislator Fitzpatrick? Johnson? Drake? McBride? Maxon? Cantwell? Monticelli? Nabalwanick? Peck? Reed? Doldo? Jerem? Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries.
103.
Appointing member to the Community Services Board.
Discussion? None? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Carried. 104.
Authorizing agreement for public health service participation in Central New York
Right.
epidemiological. Wow. Alliance.
Discussion. None? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. I was going to say 104 again, but if you want to read that again. 105.
Accepting funding and authorizing agreement in connection with public health emergency preparedness program.
Discussion. This is another one, just a regular vote. So, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. And next, we have an additional resolution that I will need a motion and a second to waive the appropriate standing rules to permit the introduction of the resolutions. So, may have a motion, Mr. Peck, on the waiving the rules. Second, Mrs. Fitzpatrick. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, carried. Resolution number 106.
Proposing New York State Senate Bill 2837 and Assembly Bill 2750 of 2019.
May I have Mr. Peck, second, Mr. Max, or Mr. Gerald. Discussion on the resolution. Yes, Mr. Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I very much appreciate the chair in allowing this resolution to come before the board tonight, opposing the farm labor bill, which is being circulated in Albany as we speak. So, this bill has been around for quite some time and trying to put an industry that is special and unique among all other industries in the world in the same bucket as that of manufacturing and other service-oriented industries. It's one that is special and unique in the way that our market is designed and the lack of control that we have. But it also in that how the elements that we have to face daily, whether it be sun, whether it be rain, whether it be snow, or diseases that strike animals and fruits and vegetables alike. So for a group of legislators to claim that they know better how to run agriculture than those who actually are engaged in it, and to assert themselves that we are doing things within the ag community that are detrimental to their workers, harmful, abusive, is just an egregious and a shame on these legislators to make such accusations against us. Those of the members of the board that have ever had employees or run businesses, you know that your greatest asset is your employee, that you train them to be able to execute what you need to make the business a success. You're not going to treat your employees with less grace and gratitude than what is necessary, all dependent on how they behave too. So it is just very unfortunate that this is what has come to in our state, that as with other issues that they've already passed, they are very much in the driver's seat and in control and desire to pass extreme progressive legislation that is not in the best interest of our entire state. The last time this bill was brought up for consideration, Senator Darrell Albertine was the Senate Ag Chair, and he did a number of roundtables around the state in public forums to be able to gather insight, information, and understanding of how it would affect agriculture across the various spectrums of what agriculture is. Unfortunately, this year you have a greenhorn at the state Senate that is running the Ag Committee. This legislation is being pushed by a New York City senator on the Labor Committee, and they did 3 round table discussion hearings. The one that was furthest north was in Morrisville, the next one in Dutchess County, and then the last one on Long Island. A lot of agriculture in those 3 areas, naturally. So it's just very unfortunate that this just becomes another issue that pits the rest of us against them in Albany. It's unfortunate that as much effort gets put into finding ways of creating policy that divides the state more than it brings the state together, especially as we're facing economic issues that have not been resolved, even though the governor insists that we're open for business, yet we're losing population by the millions, and looking at losing 2 congressional seats in the next census. It's just unfortunate that this continues the trail of tears for the rest of the state outside of the metro area. And I appreciate the members of the board that would show support for this resolution.
Well said, Mr. Peck. Mr. Monticelli.
There's not much to add to what Legislator Peck said, but to some degree, I'd like to reiterate what he said, but also offer some new point. I support labor. I support the working man. In 1938, the Fair Labor Standards Act recognized that agriculture was not the same as manufacturing. They realized that you couldn't treat farm workers the same way you could treat the other workers in factories who could organize and have an 8-hour day because the shift ended and the machine could stop. Kind of hard to pick cherries in an 8-hour day. Cherries got to come off the tree when they're ripe, not at the convenience of the day. And this was recognized in 1938. This is a result of the downstate control of the state government. The governor, the state senate, and the state assembly. And they have no understanding. I heard on the radio today, a legislator from downstate actually said, we held roundtables around the state. We even went to a Republican county. They said that on the radio. I couldn't believe they said it, but that's what they thought. That was somehow addressing farm labor, I guess. It's unbelievable to me this is the way we're going, that they don't recognize it yet. President Roosevelt recognized it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monticelli. Mr. Maxon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The one thing that I'd like to add is that government intervention in the workforce, especially insofar as they try and legislate wages, there are so many examples of unintended consequences. And I'm afraid that as our downstate overlords are dictating that farm workers have to be paid overtime, that farmers are going to respond by cutting hours and by engaging in even more automation, which will put some of these people completely out of the workforce. Time and time again, when we see a push for $15 an hour minimum wage or now mandated overtime pay for farm labor, these are people who are going to be priced out of the marketplace, and they are going to go from being employed to being unemployed. And it's unfortunate that the majority of our family farms won't be able to absorb that cost to get into automation. So I fear that we're going to see a number of our smaller farms have to go out of business, and we'll be concentrating more power into fewer hands, which is, gosh, almost the exact opposite of what they're trying to do here. So I will absolutely be glad to support this resolution opposing the state Senate and Assembly bills.
Thank you, Mr. Maxon. Further? Mr. Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My colleagues have expressed my thoughts very well on this, but I would just like to state one more thing. I think even locally, there's a misconception that farm workers are paid poorly, and that's really not the case. And Mr. Shelmadine knows very well, and I appreciate his comments earlier, but of course in my district we have a lot of farm workers, and there's a broad range of how people are paid, but some of these jobs we're talking about are very well paid jobs, and I just want to kind of squash that, if I can, that misconception. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giroux. Further?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I
Ms.
also
Patrick.
want to piggyback on that. There are so many people downstate, and I'm not trying to be funny about it, but they think chocolate milk comes from brown cows. And they don't realize the work that you, John, who is a farmer, put 24/7, as you said, rain, shine, more so than the mailman. And you do a very good job at what you do in raising a family, and I commend you for that, Legislator Peck. And it's really sad that they don't understand. And what I wanted to mention, too, with regards to Legislator Jarrow, is the fact that many of these people who are working on these farms live on the farms. They receive housing and they receive food, and that all goes in with it. And I wish that the downstate legislators out of New York City who just walk into a little store and buy what they need down from their apartment, not realizing where the food is really coming from, and I wish they would realize the hard work that farmers do every day in trying to preserve the farms that they have been given to by their moms, their dads, their grandparents. They're dying, and it's hard to watch. So. But I commend you, Legislator Peck, for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you for Mrs. Fitzpatrick. Further? None? All in favor on the resolution, number 106? Aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. That concludes our resolutions for this evening. So, with that, anybody else have any other business come before the body? I will just, a couple of points. As you probably are aware, if you haven't seen your email, the governor was in the county today, and we assessed by boat the variety of issues that are going around on the going on with the water levels. We were on Lake Ontario. Our captain of the crew today was none other than Dominic Doldo. He was our boat captain in the state police boat, and we had a very good conversation. It was a very small group. It was Supervisor Tim C., the mayor from Sackett's Harbor, Molly Riley, myself, along with the commissioner from DEC, and Commissioner Copey from Office of Emergency Management, the governor, and the secretary to the governor. That was pretty much it, and 2 state troopers. So that was it, and we had very good, candid conversation on the water levels in the area, the potential danger that we face if the water rises. But I thought it was important for the governor to know that the wind is equally as important as the water levels. Even if our water levels are below flood stage by as much as a half a foot, if we get a northern wind, and Phil, Bobby, they will correct me. Do I miss any other water legislators? Pat, I'm sorry. So if you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it is the wind that is a major concern if we get a northern wind, which are predicted for the end of the week. So there are a variety of assets available. All you have to do is say that you ran short of something, and we will have more tomorrow than we ever cared to probably imagine. But there'll be plenty of sandbags, my guess, by tomorrow. There's aqueducts or aquadams or whatever they call them, bladders, as the governor affectionately referred to them later in the session. But they're long, thick rubber tubes that are filled with water, and they can be deployed. They say on private property. I say as soon as they run into legal counsel. That is all well and fine, but they say they can be deployed on private property as well as public property. So if you have road conditions in your areas that you're concerned about, general areas that warrant some extra protection, those are quick install. The National Guard, I'm told, will come up and install them and take them down. So there are pumps available to them. Commissioner Copey, the DEC commissioner, all of them are more than available and more than willing to deploy assets and help. I think Frank Murphy was there. I think he's National Guard or Homeland Security, State Homeland Security. So there are a variety of people there, and there are over the edge, ready and willing to assist in the areas. It's really just a simple phone call to our emergency management office, and we can coordinate anything. So the governor knew I was texting a couple of the legislators during the session because, telling them that we have these assets and he wants them deployed. He wants to be more proactive than reactive than we were in 2017. That's a good thing. And he's really set on let's not wait until the crisis is here. Let's get it out, and we can always take it down and avert any disasters. So. You have something to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just want to make sure that this information is disseminating down at the town level and the local level so that they all know that these resources are available. And I think Joe's probably been doing that, but I want to make sure that he is.
Yep, and that's why I reached out to a variety of the legislators that are in the yourself and you folks, that you're in the areas of potential danger, that you can reach out to your supervisors and let them know that there's assets available to them. So, anything else? We have a variety of department heads here, quite a variety tonight. So, nice to see you all. Appreciate it. Mr. Monticelli?
Thank you, Chairman Gray. I'd like to say I appreciate that the governor recognizes that New York State borders on a Great Lake, and that he comes to look at it, and when there's wind and high water. But I also want to say thank you to you for the extra effort you're putting into this effort, and you're on top of it, and I appreciate your emails and your YouTube videos. But I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? None? Appreciate everybody coming tonight. Motion to adjourn. I've got a motion to adjourn. Mr. Maxon, second. Mr. Peck, all in favor? We're adjourned.